The story opens with a short scene from the past where a girl remembers flames, corpses, and a world that felt cruel and closed to her, and she carries guilt about how she felt as that world ended, which becomes the burden that shapes her days. After this, the main story returns to Natsuki Subaru, who awakens in a fancy guest room and realizes his stomach wound is gone with no scars. So he guesses Emilia healed him and that he must be in a noble's mansion. He explores the quiet, looping corridor and tries doors until he opens one that leads to a library where he meets a small, proud girl with curly, drill-like hair named Beatrice, who controls the mansion's spatial barrier and calls the place her archive and private chambers. Beatrice probes Subaru's mana circulation with a touch, causes him sharp internal pain, and declares he is human but not ordinary because she senses unusual things. So she drains his mana and knocks him out cold to keep him safe until others arrive. When Subaru wakes again in the morning, he meets twin maids, Ram and Rem, who wear matching maid outfits with mirror-opposite hair parts and contrasting pink and blue hair. And they speak in stereo with dry humor, while Emilia arrives in casual manner clothes that show she is relaxed at home. Emilia checks on Subaru's condition and invites him to the garden for her daily talk with spirits, while Subaru asks for his street clothes and jokes with the twins, who call his tracksuit a filthy rag, showing their blunt way of talking. In the garden, Subaru leads Emilia through radio calisthenics as a warm-up. Then Emilia takes out a green spirit crystal and calls Puck, the cat spirit, who appears and reads Subaru's surface thoughts to judge his intent, concluding Subaru is odd but harmless and not malicious. Emilia speaks softly with many small lights, the lesser spirits, fulfilling her pact to make contact each morning. And Puck explains that different spirits require different pact terms, with lesser spirits only needing gentle, regular contact, while greater spirits like Puck have stricter conditions. Ram and Rem come to escort them because the Lord of the Manor, Roswaal L. Mathers, has returned, and the twins' tone becomes formal and serious, which hints that their conduct changes when work calls, while Emilia says Subaru will understand Roswaal when he sees him, because he is the sort who cannot be described in normal words. At breakfast, Subaru meets Roswaal, a tall nobleman in clown-like makeup and colorful clothes with heterochromatic eyes, who speaks in a stretched, sing-song tone and calls Beatrice Betty, while treating everything lightly yet precisely. Subaru learns that Rem is the primary cook, that Ram is better at cleaning and laundry, and that although the sisters are skilled, the mansion staff is only the two of them, which makes the workload heavy and shows why help could be useful. Emilia scolds Subaru gently about table manners, and then Roswaal and Emilia explain the country's crisis. Lugunica has no king after a plague killed the royal bloodline, so the Council of Elders manages things while a royal selection seeks a new ruler. When Subaru asks why Roswaal calls Emilia lady, it is revealed that Emilia is a royal candidate backed by Roswaal, and she shows a dragon-decorated badge with a glowing jewel that proves a person's qualification to stand in the selection. Subaru realizes that the thief felt stealing Emilia's badge in the capital was a plot to disqualify Emilia without open violence, and Elsa was hired by someone to arrange the theft, which makes Subaru's recovery of the badge the reason Emilia's candidacy still stands. Roswaal tells Subaru to name any reward within reason and promises not to take back his word, so Subaru asks to be hired to work at the mansion instead of asking for money or a title, surprising Emilia because he keeps choosing modest rewards that matter to him in the moment. Roswaal accepts and hires Subaru, while Emilia looks torn between gratitude and worry that Subaru undervalues himself, and Subaru admits he wants to stay close because he feels this house is where his life can move forward. Subaru begins training under the twins and gets a crash course in chores like sweeping, laundry, kitchen work, and serving. But he is clumsy and racks up cuts and bruises, even as his sewing skill unexpectedly earns praise when he adjusts his uniform and aprons. The days pass with early mornings, long shifts, and strict corrections, with Rem strict and precise in instruction, and Ram sharp-tongued but oddly lenient at odd moments, while Beatrice still calls Subaru an annoying intruder, but upholds her promise to keep him safe inside her domain if told to. Each night, Subaru collapses into the soft bed and wakes to the same brightness, the same routine, and the same gentle check-ins by Emilia and Puck, which makes him feel that normal time is finally moving forward beyond his past cycles of death. Emilia studies manners, policy, and speech for the selection while Subaru trains at housework, and their nightly chats in the garden or corridor become a quiet comfort where Subaru keeps his words light, but thanks her in small ways, like joking about EMT, because he cannot tell her about return by death. When Subaru goes with Rem to the nearby village for shopping, the local kids swarm him with pranks, and a small dog-like creature bites his hand, which he laughs off as bad luck, even though the bite leaves a swollen mark that Emilia offers to heal later. But Subaru chooses to keep it as a sign of his effort. After that village trip, Subaru begins to feel unwell at night, and strange chills and fatigue set in, though he tries to play it off while helping with chores, and Rem watches him with a complicated gaze that looks like suspicion mixed with worry. On one loop, death returns without warning in the manor. Subaru wakes to pain, fear, and the sensation of a blade or spell, and he dies before he can understand who attacked him, which resets time back to the morning in the bed, as if the days had been rewound. Subaru tries again, pushes through chores, stays closer to Emilia, and tries to befriend both Rem and Ram. But the same creeping malaise grows after the village visit, and Rem's eyes grow colder even as she smiles politely, while Ram's gaze is unreadable behind her teasing words. One night, Subaru senses someone hunting him in the dark halls and flees, but he is cut down by invisible wind and force. The unseen killer moves with a precision that makes him realize he is being judged as an enemy inside the manor. He wakes again to the start of the loop and guesses that something about his actions triggers suspicion or a hidden condition after the day in the village. So he tries to avoid the trip, tries to change small choices, and tests whether Beatrice's sanctuary can protect him all night. Hiding in Beatrice's library becomes one test, and she scolds him for wasting her time, but she lets him stay, and that delay breaks one chain of events. Yet Subaru still cannot solve the growing pressure because an unseen cause is pushing the manor toward violence. When Subaru fails to find a solution and collapses into despair, he rushes out into the night and runs until dawn, only to be hunted in the forest where wind magic shreds his leg in one loop and snaps his life in another, and he realizes that the person striking him down is not a stranger, but someone from the manor. Subaru's suspicion settles on Rem, who moves like a demon in the dark with a morning star and magic that tear him apart across loops, and he sees Ram's distant fury once, like a storm about to break, as if she and Rem are linked by a bond he cannot cut through with words alone. In the most desperate loop, Subaru staggers to a cliff and considers suicide to reset before others die, but fear and shame overwhelm him, and he collapses from crying and exhaustion at the edge, until Beatrice finds him there like a scolding guardian and tells him not to die where she has to see it. Beatrice explains in her cold, blunt way that her pact is to protect him and that she will escort him out of Roswaal's domain if he wants to flee. But she also says he cannot fix the past he already broke in that loop, especially after what happened between the sisters. Her words sting because Subaru knows he missed the moment he needed most, when he should have faced Ram after Rem fell and tried to speak. But he could not explain return by death, and the window closed, leaving only guilt and the knowledge that he runs when it matters most. Subaru's resets make him pay close attention to small details, and he notices that the feeling of sickness and a tingling curse-like sensation start right after the village day with the children and the bite from the small dog, which suggests the bite is not normal. He tests his daily flow. No village, no bite, and his nights are clearer, which hints at the origin of the malaise, but duty keeps the mansion connected to the village because food and talk with locals are part of the house's life and the twins' routines. Subaru remembers hints. The dog ran with children as if trained, the swelling on his hand did not feel like simple injury, and a sense of being marked grows stronger, like something unseen is counting down inside his body, which fits the way some curses in this world spread. He looks to Beatrice for answers about curses and finds that places and grim creatures can plant a curse that grows over days, which may require specific conditions, and an expert or a contracted spirit could block such a spell if caught early or cleansed with proper countermagic. Armed with this idea, Subaru shifts his approach in the next loop, charms the children faster, and watches the dog more closely. Then he tries to keep distance, yet the dog still targets him and nips him, which convinces him the bite is not random, but a deliberate tagging. He hurries back and presses to be sheltered in Beatrice's library at night, and the little spirit admits she can nullify some curses bound to a human if she gets them before they fully settle, which she does for Subaru once, easing his symptoms and buying him time. With the curse held off, Subaru now stays alive through the night in the manor and gains the chance to act the next day. So he brings the issue to Emilia under the pretext of a strange feeling and asks for help to check on the village children in the dog's den. Rem, who distrusted him before, shadows him as part of her duty, and her gaze is still cold but steadier, as if her suspicion fights with a stubborn sense of fairness, while Ram keeps up a careless front that hides a keen watch from the side. They reach the village and discover that several children are missing and the adults are panicked. So Subaru realizes the bite was not the end. The dog and whatever controls it called some children into the forest as prey and possible anchors for more curse marks. Subaru pushes to enter the forest with Rem because speed matters, and Rem accepts quickly, showing the decisive side she hides, while Ram stays behind to support the village and watch Emilia's safety since Roswaal is away on duty elsewhere. The forest is thick, unnerving, and filled with signs of a pack of beasts, and the pair move by scent and tracks until they find the children cornered near a foggy nesting area where many small dog-like monsters gather with hungry eyes, which marks them as mabeasts. The beasts are not normal animals, but magical creatures with a link to curses, and their bites spread the curse that marks and weakens victims until the prey collapses and the pack devours them, which makes them a threat far beyond a wild dog. Rem reveals combat power far beyond a normal maid, swinging a heavy morning star and channeling magic to smash and crush the pack, while Subaru carries children, signals escape routes and yells warnings, moving with desperate courage. The pack grows bolder and surrounds them, and Subaru lures beasts away to buy Rem moments to cut paths. But the numbers swell, and Rem's control begins to slip as a horn-like power stirs inside her, the power of her demon bloodline that she usually suppresses. Rem's horn power awakens under stress, supercharging her strength and rage, and she charges forward mercilessly, but the frenzy loses regard for her own safety, and it threatens to consume her with hatred born from old scars and guilt that make her fight like one seeking death rather than victory. Subaru sees Rem about to break herself against the pack and runs after her, shouting her name and begging her to stop, to trust him, and to come back alive because she matters. And he takes wounds while dragging her from a killing circle to remind her of simple, human warmth she is about to throw away. Subaru keeps talking to Rem through the chaos, calling her a person who protects and cares and is not a failure or a shadow of her sister, and he refuses to let her be defined by the horn she lost in the past or by the burden she carries for Rem. These words cut through Rem's frenzy, and she reins in the power before it burns her out, forcing herself to breathe and fight with a clear head as Subaru helps the last children flee, and together they stand back to back against the beasts that still come. They fight toward a clearing where Emilia, Puck, and support arrive in time to freeze, burn, and shatter the remaining pack from range, and Emilia's calm power and Puck's sharp spells turn the tide, making the mabeasts scatter and fade. When the battle ends, Subaru collapses from blood loss and exhaustion, and Rem falls to her knees and finally lets herself cry while holding onto Subaru's sleeve, showing a vulnerable side that she kept hidden behind duty and harsh self-judgment. The rescued children are safe, and the curse marks are checked, then cleansed or contained with spirit help before nightfall, and the village steadies as adults gather everyone home, grateful yet shaken by how close the loss came. Back at the manor, Beatrice complains while healing Subaru, but does it all the same, muttering that he is a troublesome human who forces people to care, and she unthreads cursed remnants that clung to him because of his reckless decoy work. Ram stands by Rem's bedside with her usual tilt of the chin and biting tongue, but her eyes are soft in private, and the sisters speak in short lines that are more about long years of pain than the battle, and Rem leans into Ram's words like a child relearning comfort. Roswaal returns and assesses the situation with strange cheer, praising the staff and guests for solving a pack threat and noting that the cause was a mabeast den lurking closer to human paths than expected, which means he will make new patrol and warning plans. Emilia stays near Subaru as he sleeps and wakes, and she keeps her voice light but cannot hide relief. And Puck sits on Subaru's chest with a paw on his jaw and says he reads no malice in him even after all this, only stubbornness and an endless will to help, even when it is foolish. Subaru apologizes for the worry and calls his choices natural because the kids needed saving and Rem needed someone to pull her back, and he laughs it off with his usual jokes while Emilia pokes his forehead and tells him to stop making light of real danger. Rem later bows deeply to Subaru, stammering thanks and guilt. But Subaru shakes his head and tells her that her help saved everyone and that she is strong not because of a horn or inherited judgment, but because she chooses to protect even when it scares her. Ram watches that exchange with a shadow of a smile that vanishes when Subaru looks her way, and she covers it with a lazy insult. But she stands straighter that night and cleans longer than usual, as if the house feels lighter when the guilt between them eases. The village sends thanks, and Subaru visits to wave off pranks with mock anger, while the dog that bit him is gone, and adults swear to report strange animals faster, and the manor promises quicker responses and clearer signs in the forest's edge. Beatrice admits to Subaru that curses from mabeast follow simple rules, but grow stronger when guides or leaders lurk nearby. So the pack they faced likely had direction from something smarter, which means follow-up patrols are still needed. Roswaal hints he has business tied to the royal selection and cannot linger, but he leaves resources for wards and tells Rem and Ram to use their judgment, praising them openly, which makes Rem flustered and Ram pretend to be bored even as her shoulders ease. In the quiet after, Subaru finally sleeps through the night without a reset and wakes to morning light that feels real. And he says the day finally moved forward the way he wanted, without cutting away the bonds that made the house feel like a place to return to. With danger past, routine resumes, and Subaru's chores get better day by day, with fewer spills, fewer cuts, and a competence that even Rem acknowledges, while Ram still calls him a layabout, but assigns him tasks that show trust. Emilia's studies intensify, and she asks Puck to run harder drills on magical theory and spirit contracts while she practices posture, speech, and etiquette. And Subaru cheers her on with over-the-top nicknames and simple pep talks that make her sigh and smile at once. Subaru and Emilia share evenings under the stars where he tries corny lines about the moon, and she misreads them because of cultural gaps, which turns romantic tension into awkward warmth that lets them talk about effort, fear, and small pride in getting through hard days. Subaru keeps his left-hand scars and says they are proof he is working hard at something for once, which Emilia respects even as she offers healing, and he answers that some marks teach him not to avoid effort the way he used to. Rem's attitude softens, and she speaks more, asking Subaru what he plans to do and why he keeps changing his day to help others without being asked. And Subaru answers clumsily that staying means he can protect this place, which is enough for now. Ram occasionally cuts him down with a smirk, but also shields him from Roswaal's odd assignments when they are beyond him, and that small protection tells Subaru that Ram's laziness hides careful attention to everyone's limits. Beatrice lets Subaru enter her archive without a fight when he knocks and says, "Please," and she huffs that he has learned manners, then complains he smells like Puck and humans and books, and she lets him nap there sometimes with a blanket tossed over him. In several loops earlier, Subaru had tried to confess his secret to Emilia and others, but the witch's unseen grip choked him with cold and terror whenever he tried to describe return by death. And those scars remain in his silence now as he finds other ways to be understood. He replaces truth with acts, being on time, extra sweeping, remembering how Emilia takes tea, bringing fresh cloths for Rem before she asks, and leaving a stool near Ram's cleaning route, all so that care is shown without explanations he cannot give. The village kids greet him as Big Brother and dare him to chase, and he lets them win while reminding them to avoid strange animals, repeating it until even the smallest can say it back like a game, which makes the adults shake heads and smile. Roswaal treats the house like a stage again and praises Subaru for being amusingly resourceful, hinting that people who move in odd patterns can break fixed traps. And he calls Subaru's presence valuable for reasons that sound like a patron's forethought. Emilia watches these talks with mild alarm and steers Subaru away when Roswaal gets too whimsical, and Subaru jokes that Roswaal will wear him out, to which Emilia says they will probably get along too well for anyone's sanity. In private, Rem confesses to Ram that she hated herself for years and lived only for Ram after the horn accident long ago, explaining why she hunted Subaru in one loop when she felt a threat to the house, and Ram gently tells her that living for herself is allowed. That night, Rem bows to Subaru once more, not out of duty but out of personal feeling, and Subaru answers by asking her to scold him anytime he cuts corners, which makes her blink, then agree in a small voice that sounds like trust beginning. Finally, Emilia and Subaru schedule a simple visit to the village together for no crisis at all, just to walk and greet people, and Subaru grins like a child while Emilia warns him not to call it a date, which he denies while making it sound exactly like one. The day ends with everyone under one roof safe, the manor's hallways no longer looping like a threat, but stretching forward like a path, and Subaru falls asleep thinking that this time, the morning he longed for may truly arrive. The next morning, sunlight comes through the curtains, and Subaru wakes to warmth and soreness that feel earned instead of forced, and the mansion's sounds are calm. A kettle in the kitchen, soft steps in the hall, and Rem's measured voice calling the hour. Breakfast is normal and lively. Roswaal muses about schedules with a theatrical flourish. Ram stirs tea with bored grace. Rem corrects Subaru's posture with a tap. Emilia laughs at Subaru's stray joke, and Puck steals a buttered bit with perfect timing. After the meal, Subaru helps with dishes without breaking anything, which is a first, and Rem nods once with a tiny smile that makes Subaru stand straighter before he goes to sweep the corridor in even strokes the way Rem taught him. Emilia meets with him in the garden, and they stretch together again before she sits for spirit talk, and the lesser lights flicker around her while Subaru keeps watch at the edge, mindful now of signs in the grass and shadows that once hid threats. Beatrice opens her door a crack when Subaru passes the archive and pretends to scold him for making noise, then tosses him a cushion to use later, which he catches and thanks her for, and she shuts the door fast so he will not see her pleased face. Roswaal prepares to leave on business related to the selection and says that candidates will soon gather for formal proceedings, and he gives Emilia a few last hints that sound like riddles about allies and image before he waves grandly and vanishes down the hall. The twins reorganize lists and duty posts, and Rem asks Subaru to join an afternoon errand to the village, which he accepts quickly, and Ram says not to slow her sister down, tossing a cloth at him that he catches without fumbling. They pass through the manor gates, cross the field, and wave to farmers, and Subaru notices how the sky looks wide and the air tastes clean when he is not fighting for his life, and he thinks of how many loops it took to make this quiet walk possible. In the village, children run at him again, trying to trip him with string and giggling when he hops over, and the adults pass fruit in his hands and tell Emilia she is always welcome, while Emilia blushes and thanks them with shy practice of formal lines. Subaru checks the shrine stones near the forest edge out of habit and finds new wards placed as promised, and he nods to himself and points discreetly for Rem to confirm, and she does with a look that says he is finally thinking ahead, like staff. They return before evening, and Subaru takes a tray past the library, where Beatrice sniffs at the tea and lets him in for a minute, and they exchange dry remarks until she rolls her eyes and allows him to leave a small sweet he saved for her. Night comes without alarms, and Emilia visits the balcony to look up at the moon, where Subaru joins her and tries another clumsy line about beauty. And she shakes her head, calls him an idiot, then smiles like the words landed anyway in a way she will not say. Subaru thinks of the people in this house, Emilia, Puck, Roswaal, Beatrice, Rem, and Ram, and decides again to stay and work so the peace he feels will have a chance to last, even if it is fragile and even if danger will come again. He does not know what tomorrow will bring in the royal capital or what enemies hide behind thefts and curses, but he knows he can sweep floors, carry trays, and run into forests when needed, and that this simple readiness is a kind of promise. The volume closes on a mood of calm after pain, with bonds warmed by honesty and effort. Emilia steadier in her training, Rem lighter in her steps, Ram less alone in her role, Beatrice less distant behind her prickles, Roswaal watchful from a stage he set, and Subaru smiling at a morning he finally earned. In that earned morning, every small sound of the mansion feels like proof that life is moving forward, and Subaru's first thought is that he will do his best again, because the day is starting, and because this time, it is real.